Hello, thank you for joining us on Nationwide. I'm Ruth Aguele. You can follow this news broadcast live on our website, is nta.ng/live, and all other of our social media handles displayed on the screen right now. The Cybercrime Unit of the Nigerian Police Force says it has fashioned out ways on how to collaborate with INEC Cyber Unit to monitor the portals of INEC to ensure that there is no cyber attacks in the forthcoming 2023 general elections. This was during a presentation on the role of the Nigerian Police Force Cybercrime Unit in preventing cyber attacks at the recently concluded Election Security Management Conference for senior officers of the force in Owerri, the Imo State capital. Let's hear more details from Francis Farm.
Some of these crime trends that you have, like the likes of DNS tunneling, man-in-the-middle attack, are some of the attacks that are being envisaged.
The resolve by the Nigeria Police Force to form a common front in dealing with the activities of cyber criminals is born out from the lessons and experience gathered in the conduct of off-season governorship elections in Ekiti and Osun states. And considering the fact that cyber attacks have become major threats to democracy following the introduction of technology in the conduct of elections. For instance, a developed country in Europe was fingered to have attacked the portals of some nations during their general elections, and during the process, some of the results were manipulated.
But with the intervention of the cyber units of the nation, the police of Ukraine, they were able to avert this.
Now, working in synergy with the cybercrime unit of INEC to prevent cyber attacks during the 2023 general elections is what the cybercrime unit of the force has perfected.
We're going to provide, professional assistance to make sure that the INEC server is safe, and of course to help to monitor networks, and also to make sure that the beavers during accreditation and voting that there won't be hijack.
With the available tools and services that the police have, the director believes the unit will help INEC to deliver the mandates of conducting peaceful, credible and transparent polls. Francis from NTA News.
Political leaders in Cross River State have been urged to properly educate their supporters to conduct themselves in line with electoral laws, devoid of thuggery and violence before, during and after the 2023 general elections. The State Commissioner of Police, Suleiman Balarabe, gave the advice at an interactive session with journalists in Calabar. Ode Aleno reports.
Elections in most parts of the country are often characterized by cases of thuggery and violence. This, the police is saying, has to stop as counter-strategy has been put in place by the Inspector General of Police for implementation by all commands to stem the tides. Already, the Commissioner of Police in Cross River State says the geographical area of the state has been clearly mapped out and suspected hotspots identified for intelligence and counter-operation to allow for a hitch-free elections.
Measures have already been taken by our operatives. So efforts are ongoing in ensuring that 2023 election is going to be one of the most peaceful elections in the states.
The police commissioner urges traditional, religious and youth leaders to collaborate with security agencies to checkmate violence and thuggery during elections, as anyone caught will be made to face the full wrath of the law.
The tactical units in the command have been reorganized and re-strategized on how to overcome this menace in the command.
The police commissioner also reassured residents of fairness and proactive resolve to curb criminalities in the state. In Calabar, Ode Aleño, NTA News.
A dozen of bandits who attempted to attack Kangumi community in Chukun local government area have been forced to retreat by the firepower of troops of the Nigerian army, who neutralized one of the attackers in the process. The bandits attempted to infiltrate the location of the troops, and they were seriously dealt with in a gun duel lasting for an hour, with the neutralized attacker wearing military camouflage, while others escaped with various gunshots. A statement by Kaduna State Commissioner for Internal Security and Home Affairs, Samuel Arwan, advised communities around the affected areas to report anyone with gunshot to the nearest security formation. Governor of Akwa Ibom State, Udom Emmanuel, is calling on leaders to embrace what he terms money investment instead of cash. Speaking in Banjul, the Gambia, on sustaining security in Africa through good governance, a panacea for insecurity, Governor Udom is emphatic that cash is limited while money has no limits. Kelvin Samuel reports.
Addressing the conference, Akwa Ibom State Governor Udom Emmanuel says it's high time leaders begin to look beyond immediate profit but focus on investment with long-term value, stating that Africa as a continent cannot achieve the desired growth through investment until the problems of insecurity are fixed.
Governance is the provision of political, social, and economic public goods and services that all citizens rightfully expect from their government. The question there is, looking at these ingredients, have we actually achieved that in Africa? The problem is leadership. I beg to differ that the problem is not only leadership. The problem is also followership.
Other stakeholders agreed that the time has come for African countries to rise to the occasion and seek to do things as obtainable at global levels. The 17th African Security Watch had as its theme, post-COVID-19, sustaining security in Africa. Kevin Samuel, NTA News.
Talking health, diabetes medical experts say can lead to severe complications if not checked and managed. The World Health Organization predicts it will become one of the leading causes of death in Africa by 2030. Uche Ogochukwu in this report highlights the level of awareness of the growing burden of this health challenge, as well as strategies to prevent and manage the burden in Nigeria.
Diabetics is the only major non-communicable disease for which the risk of dying early is increasing, as WHO reports show that 25 million adults are currently living with diabetics in Africa, with a projection of an increase to 55 million by 2045. More worrisome is the fact that Nigeria tops the list of countries burdened with this silent killer.
And we find that 1 in 8 pregnant women have gestational diabetes. For now, we have a non-communicable disease committee which works with the Federal Ministry of Health, which is setting up guidelines and programs to help diabetic patients.
And then it's also important that we empower healthcare providers, educating and empowering the healthcare providers to know how to, offer quality diabetes care to these patients is very important. And then the government need to put policies in place for early screening so that we can make diagnosis early.
Research shows that family history, unhealthy diets, overweight, sedentary lifestyle, among others, are risk factors, while response efforts are hindered by lack of early diagnosis. Anthony Ogundari, a civil servant, is in hospital for this reason.
I was losing weight, then I always at least go to the toilet every 1 hour. I don't see clearly. Unfortunately, the last 2 weeks ago, I can't stand on my own. So my head was turning me. So they rushed me to this place. Then I realized that my sugar level was 26.4.
Medical experts maintain that prevention remains the best option for Nigeria, as it battles estimated 3 million diabetic patients. Uche Ugochukwu, NTA News.
Our first stop will be Lagos, where we join Michael to bring us another set of reports. Michael?
Thank you, Ruth. Despite being a silent but dangerous killer, diabetes remains one of the most underestimated ailments. A development medical practitioners say could be dangerous in the quest to pull down the ladder of the increasing rate in developing countries. This concern, however, is shaping discussion as the world observes Diabetes Day. Nigeria, being the most populous country in Africa, has more than 3.6 million people living with diabetes. This is according to the International Diabetes Federation Atlas. The battle for the future, however, has to do with reducing new cases against the projection of 135% increase by 2045.
It is not too much carbohydrate that causes diabetes. It's too much calories, especially calories from refined food. We need to turn our backs on the fast food outlets.
One of the key factors crucial to translating these winning formulas to tangible results, medical practitioners say, is found in understanding risk factors and getting tested at every given opportunity.
Unless you screen, unless you check, you do not know. So it's very important for us to not to wait until when you are having, the complications, like maybe things like, eye problems, like diabetic foot, like, kidney damage, before we start, working towards coping the problem.
Since diabetes has no physical or outward warning signs, the neglect is understandable. But in correcting this trend, the focus has since 2021 shifted to better access to quality diabetes education.
We need to change our lifestyle to move around more. Every adult, every person needs to do at least 10,000 steps per day. You will say, doctor, how can you measure 10,000 steps? People's phones have apps that can measure the number of steps you make.
In the face of brain drain in the medical field, what then are the options available for diabetes care?
People that have diabetes can have a digital way of accessing doctors within the hospital during emergency. And I think those are new areas that our hospitals should be opening up now. Now that we have the advantage of telemedicine and all of that.
Medical practitioners say incorporating diabetes tests in all aspects of human activities, right from antenatal to the workplace, will help to change the prediction tide. Consolidate the gains so far achieved in maritime security, the Nigerian Navy says it is collaborating with Spain and other European nations to check criminal activities, including illegal fishing in Nigerian waters. Acting Flag Officer Commanding of Western Naval Command, Rear Admiral Hamza Kaoje, made this known while receiving the Spanish ambassador to Nigeria in Lagos. Samuel Johnson has details.
The visit of Ambassador John Sell to the Premier Naval Command is a recognition of the untiring efforts of the command to check all forms of criminality and illegality in the Gulf of Guinea. Commending the exit of Nigeria from piracy-endemic nations, the Spanish ambassador assured the Nigerian Navy of more support and collaboration to ensure that the Gulf of Guinea is safe for economic and other positive human activities.
Today is to say thank you on the first place to the Nigerian Navy for the way they welcome our ships to the ports and to discuss avenues for future collaboration.
The acting flag officer commanding of Western Naval Command, Rear Admiral Hamza Kaoje, who acknowledged the contribution of the Spanish Navy to the training and success in the Gulf of Guinea, emphasized the need for more synergy in boosting security and economic activities in the Gulf of Guinea, especially Nigeria's maritime space particularly.
We have been training with them and we have gained so much from the exercises we have conducted with these vessels that have visited our country.
The Nigerian Navy and their Spanish counterparts have always collaborated to advance security and commercial activities for economic development of nations along the coasts in the Gulf of Guinea. In Lagos, Samuel Johnson, NTA News.
Do not forget to follow this news broadcast live on our website at nta.ng/live and on our other social media handles displayed on your screen for updates. Time for some messages. When we return, Nationwide continues from our Bini Network Center, where Ogochukuka is standing by. Please stay.
Thank you for joining us in Benin. Residents of Asaba woke up this morning to the trending news on the social media that the ultra-modern Asaba Township Stadium was on fire. This prompted a visit by NTA news crew to the stadium situated along Nebisi Road in the city. Godfrey Zekwe has the situation report and reaction from the state government.
Few days ago, it was alleged partial collapse of a section of the multi-purpose indoor sports hall under construction. Now it is all about an alleged fire outbreak at the stadium trending in the social media.
I saw smoke coming from the stadium, behind the stadium. Before you know, the people came around to see that the next people.
The Delta State government, however, says the stadium did not catch fire as speculated. Rather, it was the replaced fiber roofing sheet on the ground. The Commissioner for Information, Charles Anyago, who displayed negative social media reports on the cause of the ignition, said people should desist from scoring cheap political points with the incident as the state government is poised towards hosting a memorable national sports festival.
It just happened that a welder that was very busy with welding works on top of the main bowl. And so as the spark from the electrode was falling just from the top to the base of the stadium wall, it just happened that some of the asbestos that have been removed from the initial roof, more like caught fire in the course of time, and he didn't notice it on time until the smoke, started going up. And in the course of that, it affected the cladding.
The commissioner called on Deltans to support the government to achieve the aim of hosting the 2022 National Sports Festival. I am Godfrey Nzekwe, NTA News.
And now talking politics. The presidential candidate of the All Progressives Congress, APC, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, has presented a check of 40 million naira to flood victims in Edo State. The check was presented to the victims by the Deputy Director General of Tinubu Shetima Campaign Organization, Adams Oshomole, at the internally displaced persons camp in Hohomere, Esako Central Local Government Area. Hakim Etayokai completes the report.
The presidential candidate of the All Progressives Congress, APC, Senator Ahmed Bola Tinubu, has assisted the victims of flood disaster in the three castle areas of Edo State with the sum of 40 million naira. Isako Central, which is the worst hit, got 20 million naira. Isako East, 12 million naira. And Esa Southeast Local Government got 8 million naira. The Deputy Director General Tinubu Shetima Campaign Council and Edo North senatorial candidate Adams Oshomole, who presented the checks on behalf of the presidential candidate, said the cash donation is to alleviate the suffering of the flood victims in the castle areas.
Whenever we brought it to be shared for everybody. No discrimination. Yes. We go for no matter. Whoever is supposed to help ourselves.
Some of the victims appreciated Senator Ahmed Bola Tinubu for the gesture.
God should extend his life, should grant him good health, so that he should see through all the electionary processes and come out victorious.
The vote one will vote, now he will vote for us.
Senator Ahmed Bola Tinubu also assured Nigerians that he will address the annual flooding in the country if elected. In Ogomeri, Ekberi, Hakim Etayokai, NTA News.
And the news continues in Abuja with Ruth. Ruth, is back to you.
Thank you, Ogochukuka. Nigeria and other African countries have forged a common ground to negotiate for a just transition in terms of loss and damage, climate finance, food security and biodiversity conservation as negotiations open at COP27 in Egypt. Onenge Faifes reports on the African position prior to the negotiations.
The meeting of world leaders at COP27 has come to an end. It's now time for ministers and heads of delegations to go into the serious business of the COP, which is negotiations. And for the African group of negotiations, meeting here under the auspices of the Africa Ministers Conference on Environment. This is the time to fine-tune the African priorities. And top on the agenda for African continent is the issue of loss and damage, where the countries involved are insisting that because Africa contributes the least to climate change, it should be considered for financing.
We look forward to the unity of the continent and for honorable ministers to come and speak with one voice for that COP, so that all the needs and the demands for our children and future generation would be met.
Other issues considered by ministers at the AMCEN pre-negotiation consultative meeting are those of adaptation finance and ensuring that the ramp-up supports, leveraging promises and pledges made in the past to ensure that those are fulfilled at the end of the conference.
We understand that Africa is getting around 3% from the global basket when it comes to the finance. Now the target is we want to at least spread our arms to see whether we can reach up to 10%. Yet still it's a small one compared to what we are emitting and what we are being exposed to when it comes to the loss and damage.
Nigeria is aligning with the decisions and priorities of the African group of negotiators, pushing and making a case for the peculiar concerns of the country in the discussion on climate change.
To ensure that those commitments are firmly, highlighted, and not only highlighted, but scaled up, towards implementation. So Africa is putting pressure to these donors and partners to ensure that these commitments are firm and implementable.
They expect that the global community will come to agreement with Africa, especially in increasing or boosting the funding for Africa adaptation programs and initiatives. In Sharm el-Sheikh, Egypt, Onengie Fineface, NTA News.
Away from Egypt, the ECOWAS Commission will in the next 4 years pursue the actualization of the Regional Rice Offensive Plan aimed at reducing import dependency in member countries. The plan has the implementation period of 2022 to 2025. Kelvin Ahunwahi will tell us more.
The Regional Rice Offensive Plan is one of the main components of ECOWAS 2050 strategic framework on food security. Already in motion, the plan is expected to support rice revolution in member countries, with Nigeria being the focal point. At the 32nd Ordinary Session of the Administration and Finance Committee meeting in Abuja, ECOWAS Commission President Omar Aliu Toure expressed optimism that the lessons learned from the Russian-Ukraine war will serve as impetus to quickly find local solutions to food supply challenges in the sub-region.
The budget presented to you for consideration is on a midterm expenditure framework. It is a 3-year budget estimate that complies with your earlier recommendation. As this is the first attempt, we will count on your guidance for improvement.
Members of the Administration and Finance Committee of ECOWAS will use the session to evaluate the impact of the 2022 budget and make adjustments and recommendations to the various institutions of the Commission on the finance and resource management options ahead of the 2023 budget of the Commission. In Abuja, Kelvin Ewonwaye, NTA News.
There has been outcry over bulk purchases of grains by unknown merchants across major markets in northern Nigeria. Farmers alleged that the bulk buying is as a result of the redesign of the Naira. Our agri correspondent Musa Baba Aliyu sought to find out whether the allegations are true or false.
An informal commodity market like this is established primarily for smallholder farmers. They bring in their produce for exchange with cash.
During the period of harvest, prices of food items usually crash even below the cost of production due to high supply. However, reverse is the case this year, as the price of produce, especially grains, are on rise.
I'm not anyway happy with the price that have shot up for food, because it will be a challenge to others. Even to us, the farmers, it will. Two factors were said to be responsible for the unusual trend in the informal commodity market. One is the impact of the flood this year that affected farmers' harvests, thereby affecting the supply chain of agricultural produce to the market. The second one is the allegation that some merchants and brokers are mass buying agricultural produce to save their money due to the redesign of the Naira by the Central Bank of Nigeria.
It is true. There's a speculation like that. It's speculated that people are, those who hold it, so many Naira are bring out the money to buy it from the farmers.
The people that are coming to buy the goods are more than the people that are bringing the goods. So if you observe that, it will increase by itself.
The price of food items, especially rice, maize, soybeans, and cowpea, recorded over a 20% increase in the last 4 days, while 50 kilograms of beans cost 28,000 naira against 18 to 19,000 naira last week.
Even last week, maize is 23, 24. Today market is 30,000.
2 years ago, middlemen engaged in a similar practice of bulk buying when the nation's borders were closed. Reacting to the development, President Muhammadu Buhari described the act as evil and therefore directed the Federal Ministry of Agriculture to take steps to address the situation. As it is today, low-income earners are hard hit by the exorbitant prices of foodstuff and are entertaining fears of what the market will look like before Christmas and New Year celebrations. From Autaba Lefi in Kefi, Nasarawa State, Musa Baba Aliyu, NTA News.
The need for a commensurate punitive measure as a deterrent to ungoverned forex hawkers, hoarders, and speculators has been re-echoed on NTA's Good Morning Nigeria. The guest noted that this will go a long way in mitigating connivance between the people and those who navigate policies. Lydia Sampson reports.
Ungoverned and unlicensed foreign exchange traders are a great concern to the stability of the Naira. Regulating the sector, expert says, requires a holistic approach from all key players to tackle the activities of liable operators. They acknowledge that continuous forex malpractices, though an economic crime, is thriving as a result of exploitation of weak institutional structures for selfish gratification.
You don't restrict entry and exit, even in the banking industry. So long as anybody meets the requirement, you don't bring bottlenecks to say, oh, I'll give Kinsel, I won't give Jumai, when you all met the credentials. So there is no restriction to, stopping anybody that has met the requirement as you published from getting the license.
We access foreign exchange not to transact business, and that has serious negative implication even for our trading, for our terms of trade.
They are unanimous that the economic sabotage must be stopped.
Quite a number of those guys that have been arrested, they are canvassers of License Bureau de Change.
We all have to be innovative in the whole of this approach. But you can't do this work without arrest. You can't do investigation, you can't do prosecution. Sometimes arrest is just incidental. It's just part of it.
How we define this BDC, how we describe them is very, very important. We need to know that there are different players in the market who constitute this market.
They are also optimistic that diligent arrest and prosecution of offenders, as well as increase in the supply of foreign exchange through export, can reduce demand. They seek the eradication of foreign currency accounts in Nigeria so as to sustain gains so far recorded by the Naira over the dollar to further strengthen the Naira. In Abuja, Lydia Sampson, NTA News.
On the legislative scene, the resumption of Senate plenary earlier scheduled for Tuesday, the 15th of November 2022, has been postponed to Wednesday, 16th of November 2022. A statement by the clerk of the Senate, Chinedu Akubueze, informed senators to resume sitting in plenary on that Wednesday by 10 o'clock in the morning. The House of Representatives, at its reconvened sitting, has received 3 referrals from President Muhammadu Buhari for consideration and approval. The Speaker, Femi Gbajabiamila, read the communication at plenary, during which he announced plans to hold a national summit on the future of tertiary education in Nigeria. National Assembly correspondent Lami Ali reports.
The House adjourned plenary on Wednesday, 12th of October 2022 to enable standing committees engage MDAs on the 2023 fiscal proposal. It set 15th November 2022 as the date to resume plenary. but duty called, and the due date was shifted forward by 24 hours to enable the House attend to some urgent legislative issues, among them 3 referrals from the President. These are the 2022 budgets of the FCT, the 2023 budgets of the NDDC, and an amendment to the Code of Conduct Tribunal.
The FCT 2022 budget proposal prioritizes improvement in healthcare services, job creation, youth empowerment, social welfare services, education, and increased productivity in agriculture. Please accept, Right Honorable Speaker, the assurances of my highest regard. Yours sincerely, M. Buhari.
The Speaker, in his welcome remark, also drew the attention of House members to the need to have a conversation on the future of public tertiary education in Nigeria.
The House will convene a national summit on tertiary education reform on Tuesday and Wednesday, the 22nd and the 23rd of November 2022. Scholars, tertiary education administrators, and local and international stakeholders have been invited to submit papers on the theme of the summit, which is reimagining tertiary education in Nigeria.
Plenary featured the adoption of a motion from Henry Wauba in relation to the 2023 flood disaster in Nigeria.
Urge the federal government, through the Ministry of Finance and Economic Planning and Office of the Accountant General of the Federation, to release immediately a princely sum of 5 billion naira into the already created Ecological Fund account of each state of the Federation and FCT to mitigate the effect of flooding.
Member representing Just North Basa Goni Al-Ali of the PRP was sworn in. Plenary has been adjourned to Wednesday, 16th November 2022. From the National Assembly, Lami Ali, NTA News.
Cancer, a deadly disease, has been an issue of concern for many Nigerians due to scarcity of diagnostic and treatment centers. Well, good news for cancer patients. Rivers State has joined the League of States where affordable cancer treatment is close to the residents, known as the Dr. Peter Odili Cancer and Cardiovascular Diagnostic and Treatment Center of Port Harcourt. Governor of the state, Nyesom Wike, expressed joy at the completion of the key project embarked upon by his administration.
Look at all the medical infrastructure you put in place. Second to none in the history of this country and in all the states in this country. None can see your brake light in your healthcare program. The people of the state would deserve the best. So whatever we can do for our people, it doesn't matter how much you spend. Rivers people deserve it. And I can assure the people of Rivers State, I've said it before, and I'll continue to say it, we will not abandon any project till we leave. That is the promise I have made to all of you.
The maiden edition of the United Nations World Tourism Organization's Global Conference on Linking Tourism, Culture and the Creative Industries, Pathway to Recovery and Inclusive Development is underway in Lagos. Anthony Forson will tell us more.
Holding at the refurbished National Theatre, Igomu, Lagos, Information and Culture Minister Lai Mohammed, in his address to welcome the delegates, said despite the pandemic and some stringent measures that came with it dampened the sector, especially on nations whose economies are tied to tourism.
This conference starts today with 2 experts workshops on tourism and culture, as well as tourism and the creative industries. Both workshops are being held simultaneously. Will also be accompanied by a symposium on innovation and digitization.
However, with these uncertainties, indications are that tourism has the potential to fast-track the growing of the sector, as it has the potentials to lead recovery in post-COVID era amidst new possibilities and changing attitudes.
Participants are invited to seize the opportunity of the conference to discover actual and potential investment opportunities and human capacity development, in addition to sharing best practices on how to move these sectors forward.
promoting African culture outside of the continent. I don't think that there is a better place to start it than Lagos is, and this beautiful theater. We're first time again after renovation in this very historical landmark of the country of Lagos, and I'm very thankful all of you to be part of this history. This is history because
The session had school children involved who took on the Minister and the Secretary General of UNWTO.
How can we come together to advance the cause of tourism? How can young people be made to see tourism as a job provider?
Realizing the importance of the interrelated and interministerial nature of tourism in Nigeria, we set up what is called a presidential committee on tourism.
the future of your country is in tourism, I'm pretty sure, and it will create new jobs and more revenues for all families in Nigeria.
Delegates to this conference have been assured of a splendid Nigerian hospitality. In Lagos, Anthony Forson, NTA News.
The theme of Calabar Carnival 2022 is agro-industrialization, which has been described as the way out in the midst of severe economic situation in the country. Flagging off the second dry run of the carnival, Cross River State Deputy Governor Professor Ivara Esu charged all bands to reflect the theme in their presentations. Paul Abel reports.
The Governor Ben Ayade administration establishing over 30 industries across the 18 local government areas of Cross River State. The theme of the 2022 Carnival Calabar is described as art, and everyone is being encouraged to key into it to enhance the economic fortunes of the people, the state, and the country.
I want to emphasize that the bands must, as they try to elucidate the theme, not fail to point out the fact that agro-industrialization really means that there must be the various raw materials that must come from agriculture to supply those industries.
Some level of competition, but overall, it adds to our tourism products. I'm working with all the security agencies, to be able to ensure that visitors that come into Calabar in December are protected.
The 7 carnival bands showcase their skills. The third and final Carnival Dry Run is slated for 11th December 2022 before the main event on the 28th of same month. In Calabar, Paul Abel, NTA News.
Looking forward to the carnival. Another set of 200 orphans have been supported with 50,000 naira cash grant each by Yobe State government to improve their living conditions. Yunusa Suleiman reports that Governor Mai Mala Buni also directs the immediate empowerment of 400 widows in the state to enable them become productive.
Amid tears, Aisha Mohammed Yunus, a 14-year-old girl, and her 16-year-old sister Salma are among the 200 beneficiaries in the second phase of the Orphan Support Program. They have been grappling with the challenges of life under their single mother since losing their father at infancy, saying the cash support means a lot to them. As an orphan himself, Governor Mai Mala Buni says he holds orphans in high esteem, and that is why the program was designed to ensure that those who lost their parents across the state are not abandoned by the society. The governor also directed the State Ministry of Wealth Creation, Empowerment and Employment Generation to immediately empower 400 mothers of the benefiting orphans under the program so as to become self-reliant. Coordinator of the program and special advisor to the Governor of Religious Affairs, Ustaz Babagana Malam Kari, commended Governor Buni for his consistent concern to the plight of orphans and other vulnerable groups in the state. Through his office, the advisor says the governor had constituted Yobe State Alternative Dispute Resolution Committee, where the committee in the last 3 years amicably resolved more than 1,000 cases across communities in the state. in Damaturu. Yunusa Suleiman, NTA News.
Nigeria joins the rest of the world to celebrate World Orphans Day to promote awareness on the need to improve the welfare of vulnerable children who are orphans. The Coalition of Orphanages and Children's Homes in Nigeria is taking the lead in ensuring no child is left behind. Eno and Pius are best of friends. Aside being orphans, they share other values in common. One of such is making the world a better place for orphans like them.
If I have my way, I will send every orphan to a better school to become a better person in life.
Well, I will help them what they need. Anything that they need, I will grant it for them.
With the growing number of children who become orphans daily as a result of unpleasant circumstances, the burden to shoulder responsibilities of these children becomes glaring. It is World Orphans Day, a day to recognize their plight and advocate support for them, which is why the Coalition of Orphanages and Children's Homes in Nigeria are lending their voices to compel a change for every orphan by leaving no child behind.
The World Orphans Day offers each of us an international entry point to advocate, promote, and celebrate children's rights, translating into dialogues and actions that will build a better world for orphans and children in general.
And I'm very happy that we orphans get the opportunity to be seen out there by different people.
The need to promote a national framework on guardianship and foster parenting to lift burdens of orphanages is expected to bridge the gap and build an inclusive society for orphans. In Abuja, as part of efforts for effectively exercise of its mandate of ensuring even consideration and distribution of federal appointments across the country, the Federal Character Commission has engaged stakeholders from the Northeast on the operations and functions of the Commission. Omenka Amarachuku reports.
These are stakeholders from the Northeast Zone at the instance of the Federal Character Commission to review its operations and address challenges connected with distribution of appointments and scarce resources.
The Commission is entrusted with the responsibility of creating a sense of belonging among the citizenry in order to preserve the unity, peace, security, and stability of our multi-ethnic polity. This is in furtherance of the implementation of Section 318 of the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
We are looking at the country as one. So we now want to measure development in the sense of the growth that have been created by either social, physical, environmental development that are taking place in all the parts.
Now it is the responsibility of these MDAs to make sure that each section of this country is represented on their nominal rolls. That is the essence of submitting their nominal rolls to the Federal Character Commission. And it is analyzed on state-by-state basis, whereby we will be able to know the representation of each of these states in the nominal role.
With the team integrating strategic partnership with critical stakeholders and advocacy on balanced development issues, the Federal Character is determined to achieve results. In Abuja, Omenka Amarachuku, NTA News.
All right, let's take a break. We're back shortly. Please stay tuned. Thanks for staying tuned. All right, let's head to Makurdi to join Fatima for some reports.
Hello and a warm welcome to Makurdi. The Minister of Defense, Major General Bashir Magashi, retired, has charged participants in the Air War Course 8 2022 to exhibit high level of integrity, dedication, loyalty, and discipline in the discharge of their duties. He gave the charge at the graduation ceremony of the Air War Course 8 2022 held at the Nigerian Air Force Base, Makurdi. Ashesi Gopep reports that the Chief of Air Staff, Air Marshal Oladayo Amao, and other top military officers were in attendance. To develop operational strategies for near and far future national security imperatives, this set of graduates, 17 in number, have undergone rigorous training for 9 months towards the attainment of victory in the ongoing internal security operations in various parts of the country. The Minister of Defense, who was also the special guest of honor, commended efforts of the Nigerian Air Force at constantly repositioning itself with strong focus on human capital development to strengthen its operational effectiveness. He charged the graduates to bring to bear the knowledge, skills, and attitude acquired to provide solutions to the security challenges confronting the nation.
I'm particularly proud of innovative steps that have been taken within the last 2 years to revitalize our armed forces to the full restoration of the country's territorial integrity.
Describing the Air War Course 8 2022 as special in many respects, being the first to have civilian and allied participants undergo the course. Commandant, Air Force War College Makudi, Air Vice Marshal Shayo Olatunde, expressed confidence that the knowledge acquired would improve performance in their various units.
The Nigerian Air Force and the nation look up to you to achieve victory for the nation in the ongoing internal security operations in various parts of the country.
Participants who distinguished themselves in both character and learning were awarded. In Makudi, Ashesi Gopep, NTA News.
I'm afraid that's the much we can take from Makodi. We'll pick up from here. The Federal High Court in Abuja on Monday adjourned indefinitely the trial of the Biafra Nation agitator Nnamdi Kanu in the terrorism charges brought against him by the federal government. Justice Binta Yaku put off the trial indefinitely at the instance of Kanu pending the resolution of the federal government's appeal against the October 13 judgment of the Court of Appeal that discharged him from the terrorism charges. The federal government's appeal seeking reversal of the Court of Appeal judgment is pending before the Supreme Court. Meanwhile, the self-acclaimed leader of the proscribed indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, Nnamdi Kanu, on Monday did not appear before a federal high court. A bit of politics here. The All Progressives Congress in Jigawa State kicks start its governorship, national and state assemblies campaigns in Hadejia Emirate of Jigawa State with a resolve to work as a united front to win at all levels of the election. The rally led by Governor Mohammed Badaru Abubakar attracted party enthusiasts from across the state. Mohammed Musa Askira reports.
This is the first time a candidate from Jigawa Northeastern Senatorial District will contest for the ruling party for the governorship seat in the state, and the jubilation there shows they are satisfied with the choice. Governor Muhammadu Badaru Abubakar says his administration has laid a solid foundation for the incoming government to build on. Badaru stated that through the unflinching support of the federal government, his administration has fulfilled all its campaign promises made to the people of the state in 2015 and 2019 respectively. The governorship candidate Umar Namadi reassures the Jigawa people that if elected the next governor, he will consolidate on the good work the present administration has done in the state.
I took over Jigawa with 115 billion naira contractual obligations. I promise I will not leave any obligation to my successor, God willing. I urge you to keep faith on APC. If you do that, we promise to consolidate on the good work done so far. It is the matter of our lives. It is the matter of our existence. If we want this country to progress, we must vote for APC.
We have also seen the joy, the happiness, and the support from our team and supporters all over Jigawa State. And it portends good omen for APC in Jigawa State.
APC stalwarts and party supporters expressed their confidence that with the level of support APC is enjoying in Jigawa State, they have no reservations that APC is the party to beat in the state and the country at large. The rally witnesses the presentation of the party's flags to the contestants of various elected positions in the state's northeastern zone. From Hadejia, Muhammad Askira, NTA News.
That's the news. Thank you very much for your company. Do have a pleasant evening. I'm Ruth Aguirre. Bye.